Hello, everybody. I am Soup5, blah blah. You know the shtick. You know my shtick. Yeah, this is the second part of a fanfiction that I'm reading. The first part didn't have an introduction though, so fuck you. That was Discord's introduction. Could you tell by my voice? No, neither could I. I don't have a good Discord voice. I have my normal voice. My normal voice is the voice that I use in most things. One of the main problems with not being a girl and reading fanfiction, I read My Little Pony fanfiction. It's problematic. But yes, I'm reading Garden of Chaos. I will get back to Nomad's Requiem. This is more like it's just kind of a story that I've been meaning to do for a while, and I said, fuck it. I'm bored, and I want to read something fucked up. So, there you go. Oh, yeah, I should, probably put a fucking warning. Warning, this story contains, in no particular order, hypnosis, masturbation, rape, anal, BDSM, and a very sick sense of humor at time. Please do not read, or in this case, listen, if you are offended by any of the above. So, first chapter will be Hidden Truths about Applejack. By the way, I love these chapter names. They're fantastic. Anyway, let's get on with the story, shall we? As soon as the walls went up around the maze and split up the usually inseparable mares, one orange farmer pony seemed brave enough to forge a way to the center. The plan had left them each with newfound determination, regardless of how scary some of them might think it was. Even so, Applejack treaded lightly, as if very suspicious of the maze from the get-go. She was always a smart one. As she traversed them through the maze, she spotted a group of apples, just like you, Cutie Mark, rolling down a path and out of sight. At first she thought the sight was very curious and wanted to simply ignore it. She decided, however, that following them was better than wandering aimlessly down the artificially lush halls. I don't quite understand it either, but fuck it, why not? They rolled down the hall, took turns left and right, surprising Applejack with a range of free motion. Pony galloped after them and managed to keep up before she noticed that the path she was following seemed to open into some kind of clearing. She arrived at a pond neighboring a large tree filled with apples. For Applejack, finding something as familiar and enchanting as an apple tree was a sign that rekindled her hope for getting outside this maze. She dropped her guard and Discord softened to take advantage of that fact. Trotting happily up to the tree, Applejack exclaimed with a hint of excitement present in her voice, "Boy, I sure as hootin' wasn't expecting to find one of y'all here. I sure could use an apple right about now." Seemingly on cue, the apple tree shook itself in a strangely cartoonish fashion. I wonder why. And the apples began to fall directly onto Applejack below. She looked up to catch the sight and managed to get away just before the first red delicious hit the ground. In what couldn't possibly be considered a normal amount for a tree to carry, the apples piled up until they were about the height of Applejack herself. Looking confused, she raised an eyebrow and remarked aloud, "What in tarnation was that all about?" Standing in front of the apples, Applejack looked curious as to why they all suddenly shook off. Insert sex joke here. Circling the pile, she became hesitant to pick one up and eat it. As much as she loved apples, she wasn't going to eat some random apple in a maze made by someone fond of tricks and deceit. The first smart thing she decided to do. I'm going to hell. Suddenly, however, she heard a voice teasingly call out to her and echo into the clearing. "Ah, but I thought you liked me, Applejack. I'm so big and juicy." I kind of want to make the voice of that guy, George Takei. But he's gay, so that wouldn't really count. Moving on. "What? Who said that?" Applejack rolled her head around and looked, but saw nothing besides more paths through the maze and the apples in front of her. For a brief moment, she thought she was going crazy, before she heard the voice speak up again, reassuring her that it was just an omnipresent voice that was honestly staring at her to scare her. I don't even have to make sex jokes, the story does it for me. "I'm sure you could fit me in that mouth of yours, or maybe somewhere else if you were so inclined." Who's out here saying wear your fangs like that? The bell of apples began to shake slightly before two oddly shaped horns, one neat as antler, and another similar to a goat's, poked out from the top. Discord. Applejack quickly caught on that something was coming out of the pile and jumped back as full form erupted and floated before her. The beast sported a very smug-looking smug as it looked down at Applejack, staring from its much taller height. It was none other than the Draconicus Discord, who was gazing down at the mare. He eyed her as if she were a piece of candy, letting his stare occasionally drift to a luscious rear and smooth, long legs. Pervert! He had plans for that body of hers, but for now he opted to remain playful with the words. My, Applejack, for the element of honesty, you share a wonderful little lie, you know that. What in the hell are you talking about? I'm as low and honest as they come. Y'all don't know what you're getting on about. Applejack looked at him with a look of confusion at first, before it morphed into a scowl at having to deal with such a manipulative creature. And like Pinkie Pie, Applejack didn't like Discord one bit. Not the look of him, not the feel of him, and certainly not the way he spoke down to her as if she were a filly. A very, very, very dirty thought came into my mind. And all I'm going to say is, said Discord, maybe a pedophile. Just throwing that out there. Think about it. Discord began to push his words onto her in order to sway her judgment. As he did so, he crept along the ground much like a tiger with its prey and slowly circled around her. Never did he look away from her body while she chose to avoid eye contact with him as she listened. Oh, but I do remember. I said that I knew more about you than you think. In fact, I think I know more about you than you know about yourself. And that is not a lie. Don't you try to waste my time. I can get through this here maze without having to deal with you and your shenanigans. I swear to God I'm going to pistol whip the next guy who says shenanigans. Applejack didn't appreciate Discord's antics, as she wasn't a big fan of Pinkie Pie's practical jokes either. She started to walk off out of his way and towards another maze path, which she hoped was more fruitful, no pun intended, than standing here. You dodged the subjects that were so forbidden in your traditional household, so afraid of exploring the possibilities. I ain't afraid to buck you back to Kingdom Come, you hear? Applejack shut up back as she turned and glared at the Draconicus. His words had really started to irk her, and she wasn't above threatening to teach him a lesson for a straight buck from her powerful legs. That sounds pretty painful. That's all I got. I just don't want to imagine that. Discord wasn't fazed by a threat in the slightest, and even chuckled at his ability to make the apt pony so obsessed with a single accusation. Unfortunately, all that was about to change. So you say, Applejack, but I know what you are afraid of. Applejack suddenly froze with fear and steeled herself to stare down the beast. Could he really know her true fear that she never revealed to anyone? You seem to be an incredibly unpredictable monster, and this made the mare curious as to what he was getting at. You do? Yes, indeed, and I can help you overcome your fear. As Discord spoke, he leaned towards a no longer stubborn Applejack, and colors began to swirl in his eyes. They spiraled in a pattern that drew all attention and started to hypnotize the stationary mare. This was a trick he used to make ponies' minds particularly easy to mold into whatever it was the beast intended. You're afraid to accept the truth of what your body needs. All this time you thought it was wrong to want something big and hard shoved right into that ass of yours. You know, I don't need to make a sex joke because it already is a sex joke. This story does it for me! I can be lazy! What? Bringing up the concept of anal sex instantly confused and offended Applejack. Well, it would have had she not been under a powerful hypnotic force that stared directly into her soul. He was telling her what she thought, and she instantaneously began to accept his words as her true feelings, even if he had to add more to make sure his plan was properly carried out. That tight little hole that you've saved just for your exclusive use. Imagine how lucky that first stallion would be if you just accept how badly you want it. I want it. Using his lion paw, Discord lifted Applejack's chin to hold her gaze with his eyes. Applejack's desire to look away slowly drained from her to the point where she couldn't avert her gaze even if she tried. Her mouth simply hung open as her brain attempted to process what Discord was telling her. You should listen to your body, Applejack. Think about it. It's as if you'd be a virgin all over again. That sweet layup instant you had, ready to be torn away to reveal the truth. Reveal the truth? Discord once again began to pace around Applejack, leaving her to stare straight forward. Mare was already completely entranced by the god of chaos and his hypnotic eyes. Hypnosis. Check. Anal, soon to be check, I'm pretty sure. Actually, we'd probably get a large majority of them. But it's technically be rape? I feel like this technically be rape. No. The mare was already completely entranced by the god of chaos in his hypnotic eyes. He lifted her left ear and whispered as seductively as he could manage. That oh-so-strong body of yours reduced to weak shuddering. In a flash, he was on her other side, lifting her other ear and adding another whisper. As you bend over with your tail raised nice and high. Discord began to caress her soft cheek with his eagle-like hand, freely touching her now that she could do nothing to hurt him. Not that she could have done much in the first place. Which is a good point. I mean, God Chaos. What the fuck do you want from him? He appeared in front of her and allowed his final statement to be absorbed by her. You know exactly what you want. You may be able to lie to protect your friends, Applejack, but you can't lie to yourself anymore. Can't lie anymore. As those words echoed in her head, the colors in her eyes dissipated, and Applejack shook her head to regain her sense. The mare looked around and found that she was no longer in the maze, but back at the barn at Sweet Apple Acres. It was dark, with only a few rays of sunlight cracking in through the mostly closed doorway. Even in her dazed state, she remembered that she liked being here. It was a very peaceful place to relax during breaks from working so hard under the hot sun. That is until she realized she wasn't alone. Looking to her side, she found the most handsome stallion she'd ever seen. There were no romantic feelings in her heart at the time, only pure lust for the stallion exuding a strong, musky odor so close to her. The odd smirk on the stallion appeared familiar, but she paid it no mind. Having completely forgotten her circumstances and her friends, she slowly trotted closer to the stallion and whispered in his ear, feeling weaker than she would normally be, as if she were embarrassed. Would you be my special sun pony? The stallion shook his head slightly before responding in an eerily familiar voice, again to a certain Draconicus. No, my dear, that would mean you plan to marry me. No, you want something far more carnal. You want to satisfy that primal urge you can no longer resist. Stallion's words were having notable impact on Applejack, who fell onto the barn floor covered in hay and screaming with absolute need. What he said was true. The orange pony needed to have her body's needs tended to, otherwise she'd drive herself crazy. Applejack raised herself into a more comfortable position and rested herself flat on her back. She reached down for hooves and spread her gorgeous lips, which clearly ached to be filled by the right stallion. Or in this case, any stallion. My question is, who is the right stallion? Insert incest joke here, because I don't feel like I'm making it. You guys take that as you will. As you will. Her tongue hung out and she panted profusely, an obvious indicator for the stallion to take the lead in any normal case. Please, take me. I'm begging you. This was no ordinary stallion she was clinging to, however. In reality, she was still under the empty apple tree and was presenting herself to Discord. He was wearing a very joyful smile on his face. He was going to help her, just like he promised to, and she was going to love every second of it. He would make sure of that. The stallion spoke once more, moved towards Applejack, and chuckled wholeheartedly before he pointed at her others and declared aloud, "You'll never please any pony with that worn-out and saggy pussy of yours. When it comes down to it, you'll only ever want it in one place. And where is that, Applejack?" By this point, Applejack had already been pushed to her limits, and she would do anything to have something inside her. Clearly realizing what needed to be done, she stood up and turned around, slowly lowering herself onto her hooves, but keeping her ass raised high. With a single swish of her tail, I was out of the way and raised straight up, almost like a flagpole. Applejack's delectable flanks also drew a gaze from Discord, each side decorated with 3 apples that looked perfectly ripe for licking. My question is that a sexual place for them? Because that would be interesting. After revealing her dripping sex, Applejack reached back with a hoof to stretch her now much desired asshole open. She wanted to be filled there more than anywhere else, becoming weaker by the second the apple farming pony pleaded through tears of her raw honesty. Or perhaps a realization of the situation she was in. My bottom. Fuck my bottom. When she felt two hooves grasp her rear, her body shook with anticipation. The stallion began to grind his lengthy erection up between her cheeks, rubbing against her hot hole and teasing her further. Now that he had her right where he wanted her, all he had to do was give her a little bit of help discovering just what kind of pleasure she had been ignoring. I'll be more than happy to oblige your need, Applejack. Just don't forget to work those tight muscles of yours to make me come. You do want to make stallions come for your ass, don't you? Orange Mare bit her lip as she felt the tip prod at her tiny entrance. She wanted to nod or confirm his completely accurate guess, but she didn't feel the need to after being delayed for so long. And she simply eked out a moan and let the stallion behind her slowly press against her needy hole. In reality, Discord tossed aside Applejack's long-forgotten hat and placed a claw on her head, embedding memories inside her to show that this was what she always wanted. Was it? Fuck if I know, I'm just the narrator. She saw in her mind a nice throbbing dick in her forbidden hole to make her see what she had missed out on. Now, as the god of chaos gripped his claws around her back and thrust into her, he could feel her incredible tightness grip him immediately. Applejack screamed out, not in pain, but in pleasure. Thanks to her intense want for this and her incredibly tough muscles, she felt no pain losing her anal virginity. The mare only felt pleasure of heights she could never have reached before. The entirely slowly pushed its way into her, and she moaned out to her imaginary stallion. Right there! So good! The things I do. The sensation was unlike anything she'd ever felt before. The heat was so intense that it felt like her insides were burning up as the hard shaft began to draw back, sliding its veins through her walls with ease. The things I do for recording. You guys better fucking appreciate this. Her ass was previously unexplored territory, but now it was all for the ravaging as she learned to take more of the thick member inside her with every thrust. It was as if her senses exploded into a rush wherein every action she performed felt far better than they would have normally. Raising her rear to take more in, Applejack's lust for being filled like this only increased over time. I got none. I got none. I have nothing. What the fuck do you want from me? I got nothing. You know, it's the narrator about one makes sex jokes every time. There's only so much I can do. Discord felt a lovely sensation, that of controlling this poor and honest mare, making her want the wonderful ass-pouting she didn't get to experience before. The Trotoconicus leaned forward and brushed his chest along her back as he whispered to her, almost silently, You love the heat so much, you want me to come inside and make it nice and hot for you, don't you? To feel it oozing out slowly. This is getting kind of weird, even for me. So hot, dripping out of me. Yeah, this is getting kind of weird, even for me. Applejack didn't need a moment to think over what her stallion had said, only that she had to pay close attention and know that it was the truth. As she forced herself back onto the cock that was giving her so much pleasure, she increased her pace in an attempt to get the stallion to come inside her ass. She craved to be filled with such amazing, satisfying heat as she was promised. He graciously delivered and even quickened his pace as he decided to create the new, sexually enlightened Applejack. Such a rebellious daughter. If your family knew, they'd never look at you the same way again. Whenever you get the chance, you'll feel the need to present yourself for any stucky stallion that might stumble across you, and you'll offer him your ass. Only you must plead for him to be gentle, as it will always feel like your first time. Be gentle. Always my first. Satisfied with his remark, Discord finally pumped out a good portion of a hot sticky load directly into Applejack's previously unused ass. The farming pony moaned wildly, brushing as her face fell slack, perfectly intent with her insides being filled to the brim. Applejack enjoyed this far more than Discord, however, and could be seen biting her lip again to stop a squeal of pure pleasure from escaping her lips. She came a little after the Draconicus, but was far more vocal about it, all things considered. The god of chaos pulled out of her gently, and the illusion Applejack had witnessed faded away, and leaving her lying on the floor for as leaking cum. Leaking cum under the grass beneath the tree. She had been fucked senseless, and she absolutely loved the way it felt. My bottom, so full. Discord laughed to himself as he leaned down to inspect the pony. Her sweaty fur stuck to itself, and the bands tying her ponytails together had come loose, leaving her hair looking just as loose and freewheeling as she felt. He spoke quietly to the mare, picking up her chin and lifting her body up to her so she could stand on her hooves while she addressed her. Now why don't you go find a nice stallion to suit you, Applejack? After all, you still have that pesky virginity to take care of. What? Applejack looked up at Discord for a brief second before smiling. She agreed with what he said naturally, but now there was a sort of finality to it. There was no turning back as she began to change. Slowly, the color of Applejack's mane, fur, and even eyes faded away, leaving a dull gray mare in their place, but a mare grinning widely at the thought of her having her ass fizzled. This was her new life goal. Why does that make me laugh? She couldn't be happier, so long as it meant she got to be filled each and every day. A lobotomite in the fig tank. I don't know. She considered herself the luckiest mare in the world. She called the garden maid as she began to trot away. An exit was created for her by Discord, who smirked at his new creation. Ain't some pony gonna fuck little old me. Just be gentle now. This story is fantastic. Discord has cheesecaked once again. Who else but Discord? And he took great pleasure in watching the once sensible mare now eagerly in search of some lucky stallion to give her what she so desires. Rather, what Discord made her desire. It may not have been the most eloquent treatment for a mare like her, but he felt it was fitting. Besides, he had much worse fare planned for such a pink pony. Draconicus felt satisfied with his handiwork, laughed maniacally before deciding to hop back into the pile of apples he arrived in, and rolled down another path in the maze. I'm so proud of that delicious apple pony. I'm sure she's going to have fun first time with that ass of hers. Over, and over, and over, and over. Alright, that was chapter 1. I will record these individually because this is the longest story I've ever read. It's 22,000 words. It's going to take me many hours, depending. And this was recommended by Know Your Mare Inc. You asked for it, and you're finally getting it, you son of a bitch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go get some water and record the next part of Nomad's Requiem because I fucking want to. I'm just going to be kind of recording a lot today. Anyways, this has been Supar5, Supar, whatever the fuck you want to call me. This has been fucking Garden of Chaos, Chapter 1, not technically Part 1, because Part 1 was Discord's introduction. Next time, we will be reading Joy is Pain and Vice Versa. This is one of only 2 chapters that is labeled dark. Be very, very afraid. Joy is Pain, Vice Versa with Pinkie Pie. Well, until then, I don't know what the fuck that'll gonna be, but it'll be eventually, so, until then, enjoy! Peace out.